From Brian Hill in the chat room on Spreaker.com, he says, Clowney flashed but then would get hurt. But Jones, maybe a new scheme, a change of scenery will help. Maybe. Like, even me, I was wrong as hell. Like I'm usually pretty good about, seeing or predicting what a guy will do at the next level, man. I'm pretty damn good at that, I must say myself. I've been wrong a couple times. One in particular, I was wrong about Eddie George. I did not think Eddie George was going to have the career that he had in the NFL. But this is another one, man. Like, you couldn't tell me Jarvis Jones wasn't going to be like one of the top sack getters every year when he got to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it just hadn't been the case. From that ninja in the chat room, side note, it's not always about the player. You have to pay attention to the team, the scheme of players around them. And if they have been injured most of the time, those are factors. Yeah, there's a lot of different factors. It's just not cut and dry. I agree with that, despite a lot of the things that you say on the show, Ninja. You've seen a lot of guys play with a bad team and go to another team and flourish. Great example of that, and I'm going way back with this, but y'all, this makes the point. This makes the point. 2 quarterbacks. Think about Doug Williams in Tampa Bay and Doug Williams in Washington. Right. So you kind of have to weigh in a lot of different factors. Another example, speaking of Tampa Bay, Steve Young in Tampa Bay, Steve Young in San Francisco. Right. So, I mean, there's a lot of factors. It's the teammates that you have around you, the offensive line, the production. Do you have any receivers to throw to in the particular case of talking about a quarterback? So, yeah, there's a lot of things. It's not clear, cut, and dry like that. From Tiffany Poole in Portland, y'all can have our LT, Eric Fisher, 72, with the holding penalty on the Steelers at the last play of the game, shaking shaking my head. Is he a free agent? I don't think he was listed on the notes that I took this morning. From Angry Black Man, Glennon is a backup for a reason. My hometown team should take Watson since they are in a massive rebuild. I would take Watson over Sean or the Glennon kid. I think his name is Sean Glennon. I would take him over. I would take Deshaun Watson over him. Period. Like, if he was that good, like, he's probably going to be a career backup. If he was that good, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would have thought that they had their quarterback in the future, and they wouldn't have taken Jameis Winston. So I think Deshaun Watson, man, like Deshaun Watson, like, I think Deshaun Watson, man, based on what your boy Dabo Sweeney says, Dabo says that Deshaun Watson is special. Put him in the same conversation with Michael Jordan, I think. That's high praise. And, I mean, not only that, just forget what people say and what they think might be the case. Based on his resume, he should be the first quarterback taken. I've said all of this before. Based on his resume and what he's done, he should be the first. He should be the first quarterback taken. And, if you're the Bears and you're starting over and you're getting rid of Jay Cutler, how exciting is it to bring in a guy who was shown to be average at best? I don't get that. I would take Deshaun Watson. We will see. And maybe the Bears do. From KC, Doug Williams wasn't bad in Tampa. The racist owner didn't want to pay him. From Sidney Jackson, Mike Glennon is trash. These GMs are crazy if they give that long-neck bastard that much money. Damn, bro. Dang, bro. We got to talk about the man neck. From Andre Elam, Deshaun Watson is much better than any of the quarterbacks who was drafted last year. And they keep saying, y'all notice that? And it really, told you I was watching Mike and Mike this morning. They had on Mel Kiper. I'm a Mel Kiper fan. Mel Kiper said something, man, that was clearly throwing shade at Deshaun Watson. He was talking about Deshaun Watson, and he threw out the proverbial, Deshaun Watson looked good at the combine throwing to air. Shade. Whenever you hear somebody kind of detract what this guy or what a player has done at that point to that point and throw out the proverbial, yes, he looked good throwing the football against air. That's what Kiper said. He looked good throwing the football against air. Huh? Which is disappointing, man, because I would believe in that position, man, even though it shouldn't. What Kiper says kind of probably subconsciously influences some of the decisions of teams and GMs. Not to a big degree. Let me make sure I say that. To a very small degree. What he says probably influences what teams do and how they look at players. Okay? Forget what Deshaun Watson did this weekend, which by all accounts, he did fantastic. Forget that. Okay? To say that he had a good combine throwing to air is negating what he did in the last 3 years at Clemson. Forget what he did at the combine. So for Kiper to make that throw out that insult like that was very disrespectful. Forget that he threw the air and he looked fantastic throwing against air, as he put it. Forget that. You don't need to make that comment based on what this guy has done on the field and his accomplishments, in particular the last 2 years. That was line stepping. I didn't like that. Right. I mean, that was unnecessary, as my grandmama used to say. That's just unnecessary. Like, why would you even say something like that? Like, it almost is like he's trying to push this Mitch Trubisky agenda. You know, kind of taking away, kind of minimizing what Deshaun Watson did this weekend. Once again, by all accounts, he did fantastic. And in the same breath, you know, still talking about these attributes of this Mitch Trubisky guy. Really? Really? The guy dominated, like my man Dobby says in the chat on Spreaker.com, wasn't throwing against airs. He carved up Alabama 2 times. Not 1 time, but 2 times. Oh, yeah, and this past year, Alabama had the best defense statistically. A lot of the experts said the best college defense ever. And Deshaun Watson made them look silly. Absolutely silly. But Kiper's talking about him throwing the ball against air. Really? I mean, when I heard that, I was like, really? I didn't expect that type of pettiness from Mel Kiper. But these cats got agendas, man. You're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. Kiper has been one of the cats that's been really talking up this Trubisky kid. And so to talk up about Deshaun Watson kind of negates what he's been saying about Trubisky over the last month or so. It's political. And when he said that, I can understand you giving a harsh criticism of the guy, and maybe you just don't feel, for whatever reason, based on your experience and quarterbacks that have done the things that he's done in college, going to the next level, you don't expect him to be, you know, a big star or anything like that. I kind of, you know, hear that. But to try to throw a shot at dude, man, I just thought was out of it was unacceptable. From LD, Doug, did you see that monster DB from UConn, OB? I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. Looks like an African name. 6'4", 224 pounds, ran a 4.46. Yeah, I did. Safety, and I think they had him listed as a defensive back. Maybe they had him as a safety, but he clearly is going to play safety in the NFL. You can't play no damn defensive back. You can't turn your hips that damn fast to keep up with 5'10" guys. From Fail Paid, does anybody get paid so much to do so little as Mel Kiper? I'm not going to say that he doesn't do a lot. I try to keep it fair, man. I try to be honest and fair in my opinions, man. Like Kiper, what they do is they rate thousands of players. They watch thousands and thousands and thousands of tapes, man, a year to try to break down, you know, these players. So I think they do a lot. It's over a long-term period. You know, as far as their success rate in picking players and where they should go or whatever, that's really not the big thing. They try to pick the first round, and outside of the first round, you're not going to be able to guess what player is going to go to what team based on what they need after the first round. Really, like after the first 10 picks. After, like, the first 10 picks, you know, it's really just a crapshoot. But I'm not going to go as far as to say he doesn't do a lot. I think they do a lot. The success that they have in picking guys and where they're going to end up is probably lacking, you know. And what they do is they give biographies on these cats when they have the draft. They got these thick binders with details and little fun facts, where the guy's from and, you know, what his stats are or whatever. So they got all of that. That's what they do. I get that. I get that. So once again, I actually like Kuiper more so than that younger kid that they've been trying to give a spot to. They've been trying to take some of Kuiper's shine away by that other dude. I don't even remember his name right now. But it's just you gotta remember when you're listening to these cats that it's kind of political, and they have their own personal hidden agendas, you know, to a small degree. And so if they're boosting up one guy, instinctually they're going to kind of, you know, downgrade another guy because they want to sound right. They want to sound and appear right. So I kind of get that, man. But that comment, that was one of the first time I can ever recall Kuiper being blatantly biased and hating on a player like that. You know, he kind of stays in the middle of the road and, you know, he don't want to really take shots at somebody, but saying that he threw against air, and he even said it in that type of way. He's like, he threw against air, like, it wasn't no big deal. That was a shot. From LD, Kuiper is a buffoon. I remember he kept talking about Jimmy Clausen doing before and that draft. I was like, no, Clausen is garbage. What is he talking about? That's when I deduced that he was to be getting paid by Clausen's people. Clausen is straight garbage. Very good point. Very good example. And I hate to think that there's something like that going on. I'd hate to think that there's something like that going on where these guys are getting illegal kickbacks or whatever. But it's very easy to see. You know? Like, perfect example. My cousin this weekend, Derek Rivers, like he was top 3 or top 4 in every single test. Or in the 4 to top 5 tests. The bench press, the high jump, or not the high jump, the standing broad jump, the short shuttle, the 40. He was like in the top 4 of every one. But Kuiper continued to talk about like the kid from Temple. There was a linebacker from UConn whose numbers were less than my cousin Derek Rivers. But it almost seemed like that he was going to continue with that agenda because somebody, you know, giving him an envelope stacked full of cash. You know, they find their favorites, and when they kind of attach themselves and their commentary to a particular player, even if you get more information later that they aren't as good as you thought, they kind of stick to them. Like I already said this guy's going to be great, and, you know, I'm finding out now he's not that great, but I still got to stick with him because I can't go back on what I said 2 months ago. It's a lot of that, man. Disappointing. Up next, we'll read a lot of your chat, man. Power Hour, the Doug Stewart Show. Don't go away.
Day to day, yeah, just so you don't fear me when you see me trying to play fair. My ability